We are back for another Cash It Pod episode. Appreciate you guys who've been tuning into these. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow on all the social accounts and all that. Coming off a nice little winning day, 2-0 Wednesday. First couple of nights in this week were losing nights, but if you guys watched the last episode, you did get the love bet, the Raptors. It's another love bet. 5-1 now, the last 6 love bets. And overall, just been winning lately. 5 straight winning weeks. We'll see if we can get back in the green on this week. Good start yesterday. And going into tonight's games, have a nice little edge on a few games. Another 3-point line move on the Denver game. We'll get into that. John, how's the week treating you, and how you doing?
Started to treat me a lot better last night, and I like where we're going. Absolutely crushed the line we sent out. Nuggets minus 11.5 last night. Tonight is actually Thursday night. You guys will see this Friday. So we sent out on Wednesday night Nuggets minus 11.5. Just a game. They got to come with a game after getting embarrassed, giving up 49 first quarter points at Toronto. They've lost 4 straight. The Pistons beat them as a 12-point dog in Denver earlier in the year. Expect Nuggets to come with a game against the Pistons. Actually, if you had to beat the bookie member, in the preview, I didn't write who was out today for the Pistons. I wrote the players that they'll have available. Again, I think me and Ben are on that list. It's that they're not putting an NBA product out there. Denver's got every chance to blow this team out by 20, and they should. We also bet the Suns minus 7. Bet that this morning. Kind of similar situation to what the Nuggets got going on. They've also lost 3 straight, and they got beat up in Orlando earlier in this year by 17. So that double motivation, the revenge factor, losing a few games in a row. Phoenix in the 4th spot right now, wants to stay there. Remember, the top 4 teams are home court first round, so big spot for them to stay in there. Just a half a game ahead of the Clippers, who was one of our winners last night. So we got those 2, and you'll see as we talk about for tomorrow, already sent out a love bet first thing this afternoon for tomorrow. They just keep making this Warriors. They're overvaluing the Warriors on the road. I wrote it a couple of days ago, or actually it was yesterday in our preview. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Bet the Warriors at home, bet against them on the road. So for tomorrow's game, or actually for today's game, you'll see this tonight. So for Friday's game, they came out with an opening line of Golden State, Atlanta, pick 'em. That can't be the right line. Even if Draymond Green was playing, Draymond picked up his 16th foul last night, a 16th technical foul, which triggers an automatic suspension. He's out of the game. So even if he was playing, the game can't be pick 'em. It's got to be Atlanta, at least a bucket. They put it up pick. We laid pick. Then it comes out that Curry is questionable with a thumb. Warriors play at Memphis tomorrow. They got that little rivalry thing going with the Grizzlies. Is this a spot they give everybody a little rest and go after that long-awaited win on the road? But the line makers with this, Golden State's got to win 1 on the road. Yeah, at some point they do. I don't think it's tomorrow. We laid pick. DraftKings was up to 3.5 by the time we started to shoot the podcast. So feel solid about that bet. And we'll talk about the other bet that we got as we get into it, Ben.
Yeah, Golden State on the road, just not getting it done, like you said. And if I was them, I would go to the side of, sitting everyone there with Draymond already being out at Atlanta, get them going for that game at Memphis on Saturday. We'll see if, how they approach it, who gets the night off. And apparently there's reports that, Wiggins chances he won't be coming back this year. So that's going to be a little bit of problems for them down the line, a little bit of big defensive loss. We'll see how they adapt. But for the short term, Golden State, just like you said, have to keep going against them on the road. And that line came up short on DraftKings. For those of you guys with accounts on DraftKings, you guys want to get these edges, sign up, because it's just drastic how much these lines are getting killed. Another perfect example of that. And we'll get into a little bit more of a deeper dive on that game.
If anybody out there has got an account at DraftKings and you're not following us, you're leaving money out there. We're literally robbing them without a gun. Usually when I robbed like this, I needed a gun to go in. This is without a gun. We're just robbing the money. When we lay pick on Atlanta and the game goes to 3.5, it's still a full 36 hours before, or I guess now 24 hours before tip-off. You're robbing the number. We sent out Nuggets last night, minus 11.5. Here we are at 6:05 Thursday night. Nuggets are a 15-point favorite. Again, we're still not going to win every game. We're going to beat the numbers 3-4 points. Still going to lose some of our games. But it's not even about basketball at this point. It's just about math. The numbers say you have to win a certain percent of the games beating the number like this. Guys, if you have a DraftKings account, you've got to become a member. You got to become a VIP member. So you get that bet literally as soon as we make it.
Yeah, we'll see if they continue to bring out these lines super early for MLB season when we get there as well.
Well, they could just pay me. DraftKings could literally just pay me to make the line for them. DraftKings, can you hear me out there?
Yeah, they could definitely use the assistance. A lot of them coming up off World Baseball Classic. John, I know we talked a little bit beforehand. Just that news with Edwin Diaz getting hurt. We'll see.
My poor little nephew was crying to me today. We're New York guys. We're from Queens. Lifelong Met fans. Myself, the last time I was a fan was Tom Seaver in the early 1970s. I'll bet against my own mother right now if the odds are right. But yeah, my little nephew. First thing last night, I was getting texts with the crying face emojis. Oh, we lost our closer. So yeah, Mets doing what the Mets do. Looked like they had the inside track of the National League. Maybe not so much after that last night.
Yeah, see what ends up happening. I mean, they still obviously have the old man pitching dominance with Scherzer and Verlander. See if that carries over. Edwin Diaz,
couple of 40-year-olds, Ben. What do you think, huh?
Hey, one of them won the Cy Young last year.
30 some odd starts for the year each.
I'm gonna give him more than DeGrom at least. I think there's that much.
That's not saying a lot, really, but we'll see how that all pans out.
Yeah, and then a little bit of NFL. I know we don't like to go too far ahead of the season, John, but Rodgers saying he wants to go to the Jets. Apparently, they're in talks with that. I mean, obviously, that's big news if Rodgers ends up going to the Jets. Any short-term thoughts on that? I mean, it's not even set in stone yet.
I don't pay attention to stuff till it happens. Just kind of hearing some stuff, and Rodgers wants you got to get this guy, you got to do this, you got to do that. Like what else you got to do? I don't know where they're going. Look, they did this years ago with Brett Favre. Legit, same situation. An aging quarterback. Is that what you want? A guy at the end of his career, or do you want to get somebody to build with the team? You want to make a splash for 1 year? How far can he take them? Does Rodgers take them to the championship? I don't see it.
That has been the theme, though, more or less, right? I mean, Brady did it with Tampa Bay, and then Stafford did it with the Rams. Maybe
but I think they had a lot more to work with than what the Jets have got to work with. Look, they did some nice things. The defensive back Gardner did some real good things. The running back played great before getting hurt. So they got some players over there, but just Tampa Bay was loaded. All they needed was a quarterback, and they got Brady to do just what they needed to do. I just can't see Rodgers taking them to that level. Okay, so you're a playoff team for what, the next year or two till Rodgers packs it in? He was a big drop-off last year, Rodgers. Again, the Jets doing what the Jets do, like the Mets do what the Mets do. Like I'm a lifelong New Yorker, so I've watched it up front and close. What I think is a little more interesting is Carr going to New Orleans. We'll see how that goes. They were trying everybody at the quarterback there. Carr can look so good sometimes, and then they can just look so bad. We'll see how that turns out for New Orleans, but that definitely gives them the leg up as the best team in that division.
Yeah, a lot of room to go there in that division, so it's kind of for the taking. Definitely a move there. Won't be talking too much NFL guys. This next coming up off season, just big splash there. Thought we'd mention it a little bit. Coming in the coming weeks, so we're 3 weeks out now from the MLB season. So I don't know if it's going to be the end of next week or the following. We'll start more of a preseason MLB show, kind of going a deeper dive on that with all of what's going on. Obviously, World Baseball Classic has an effect on it right now. That U.S. team just advanced. We'll see what goes on there. But hey, back on to basketball. A lot going on in the NBA. It is March Madness right now as well. John, let's get going here on this. What is it? 8-game card we have going on Friday.
I'll tell you what, Ben. Before we start on the NBA, I know, I've seen in the chat the guys are all they're all looking for some college to do. Now I don't do college, but if you've got a game or something for them on Friday, shoot it out there.
Yeah, I'll give you guys a game. NC State versus Creighton. We can go through that game real quick. This NC State team, they went 1-3 down the stretch of the season, lost in that ACC tournament, got blown out by Clemson. And this ACC conference this year was just not on the same level as the rest of these Power 5 conferences. You have the highest seed in the tournament out of the ACC was Virginia. They were a 4th seed who got knocked out today by Furman, a 13th seed. So already this whole ACC team, the whole ACC conference, just not bringing too much to the table. Meanwhile, on the other hand, you have this Creighton team who played in the tough conference, obviously Big East, came third in that. They went 3-1 their last 4 games. Did have a bad loss to Xavier down the stretch of the Big East tournament, lost that 82-60. Creighton, pretty good scoring team, scoring 76.6 points per game. NC State up there as well, 78.2 points per game. This really just comes down to Creighton being a bit more battle-tested. They finished 3rd in the conference. Even their out-of-conference games, they had a big win over Texas Tech, big win over Arkansas. They had a 2-point loss to Arizona's 2 seed, just a lot of outer conference wins, and obviously played in the tougher conference all season long. NC State struggled with a lot of these lesser ACC teams. So that line's Creighton -5. I'm on that. That's one of the 3 bets I already put on the app for you members. The other 2, go download the How to Beat the Bookie app. You guys can see the rest there.
Okay. A little college for you guys there. Straighten this one out.
Little college, and that'll be up on the app and the website all throughout the week, guys. So if you're not a member, go ahead and check it out. And then we can get into John's bread and butter, the NBA. Been killing lines and already have a nice little edge heading into tomorrow on 2 games. Talked about the one already with Atlanta. We'll do a deeper dive in a bit. But first game on the card, 76ers Hornets, John.
76ers Hornets. Philly playing good basketball right now, just 1 game behind the Celtics for that Atlantic division. Remember, guys, if you're looking at the standings, your 3 division winners in each conference are your top 3 seeds, and then they filter in with the best records. So right now, while Miami is down at the 7th seed, they lead that division, would be popped up. So just keep that as a frame of mind. 76ers, they've won their last 6 games. This is a situation where previously they really owned this series. 18-2, the last 20 games, just 12-7-1 against the spread. And recently, Charlotte Hornets covered 4 of the last 6. I make Philly a big number here. I make them 11. But Philly does play tomorrow at Indiana. So there's a chance, and again, just a chance, that they may sit maybe some guys today, maybe some guys tomorrow as they go down the stretch. Don't know if you need Embiid and Harden both to beat Charlotte or to beat Indiana for that fact. Don't know if Indiana's really going for it. We'll see tonight when they play Milwaukee, another team that Milwaukee just absolutely owns them. My number would be 11, but I'm a little hesitant because, like I said, just a little fearful that they might sit somebody. And even if they don't, here's a game where if you're up that 15, 18, you're going to put guys on the bench, get a little extra rest because you know you got that game tomorrow. So this is a game I'll probably stay off unless we get some deeper information.
Yeah, this Charlotte team has to be a really good spot for me to get behind them the way they're playing right now. I thought there was going to be that good spot in that second game of the 2-game set against Cleveland.
Just as good a spot as you can get.
Nope. Resting both Mitchell, Allen was still out. It was a second game of 2-game set. You had Cavs with the look ahead on the front end of a back-to-back, and still didn't matter. Charlotte couldn't get it done and just had a shitload of turnovers, couldn't take care of the basketball. So didn't like what we were seeing there. They had that one little stretch there after LaMelo Ball went out where they won a couple of games, but really since LaMelo Ball's gone out, they have just been missing that playmaker. They've been missing that control on the offensive side of the ball. 76ers, like you said, dominate this matchup a little bit, 18-2 the last 20. Charlotte has done decent against the spread in the matchup, 4-2 the last 6. And they did beat them earlier this year in Charlotte, but they haven't been that good of a home team this season. I agree with you. The lean is to the 76ers. And then for you prop guys, could be a look there at Joel Embiid. Charlotte just struggles. Them and Portland just really have struggled for years now in the interior defense against these bigger teams. They just don't have that size. It's Charlotte's team without size. Could be a prop night for Embiid, but definitely Sixers or nobody. I don't want Charlotte going for me in that spot.
I have to agree on that. Just to jump back, I want to jump back up to one game today because if you're a How to Beat the Bookie member, you read our previews, you know the detail that we go into. If you're not, this is why you should become a member because nobody does what we do. Nobody goes into the detail that we do, and we go into it as deep as referees. So tonight's game, Oklahoma City is at Toronto. Here is a game because we're always making my lines a day or even more ahead of time. We're already looking ahead. That's how we're ready to jump on a game when they come out with Golden State, Atlanta. Pick them at 11:35 or 12 o'clock, whatever time they came out. So in this particular game, I was looking to lay Toronto -5. Just so happens one of the referees, or the actual referee, who's going to be the referee in this game, is Ben Taylor. Who is Ben Taylor? Ben Taylor has given Fred VanVleet 3 of his technicals this year, including the only love bet that we lost in the last couple of weeks, and that was Toronto at the Clippers. He teed him up in that game to the point VanVleet came out after the game ridiculing how bad Taylor is, to the point that he was fined actually $30,000 by the NBA. So here's a game that we had to lean towards Toronto. But with this referee situation now, again, look, this isn't me saying anything about the referee. He's fixing games. This is the player. Some players get into it with certain referees. Looks like they got a little thing going on. So it was just enough to keep me off the Toronto game. But again, this is the detail that we go into. Nobody gives you this kind of detail. It's easy to say this team's got X amount of wins. We're looking to detail, and that's even into the referees who ref at those particular nights. You'll see once in a while Scott Foster. We all know the situation with Foster and Chris Paul.
Yep.
But do we all know his against the spread record for the home team? The home teams cover twice as much as they lose when they're at home. So these are the details that we go with how to beat the bookie.
Yeah, the referee situation, definitely a concern for that game going into tonight. Just the interesting, whole situation together. Whenever a player specifically calls out a specific rep, because usually, they'll make comments even when they get the fines, the 15, 20 grand fines. They'll just talk about the officiating altogether or maybe a specific call. Very, very rare do you get the name of an official called out. So definitely a hesitancy there to want to get in on that.
When that happens, you might have some of the other refs pick up the slack for real. They got their own brotherhood also. The referees, they get slandered a lot. So we'll see what happens in that game.
I mean, that goes back to the Allen Iverson situation. I forgot exactly what it is, the comment he made, but that next game, the referees, each referee on that night, all 3 of them, called
a palming call,
a carryover call with him in the first couple minutes of the game. Just kind of a FU statement right out the bat. So
look, you can't cross over without palming the ball. So that's not a dribble, but it's good entertainment for the NBA. But if you go by the real rule, there's no way to do a crossover without palming the ball, or what we used to call back in the day turning it over. But let's not talk about ancient days. Even Allen Iverson. Let's get to the next game. Washington at Cleveland. This game's right about where I think it should be. Cleveland, they lose a tough game last night against Philadelphia, which actually was Wednesday night. And now they're in the 4 seed. So they're far enough. They're not going to catch Milwaukee for the Central Division. And now Philly has a 4-game lead on them. So their only thing is to stay in that 4 spot. Again, as we discussed, top 4 teams have that home court in the first round. So Cleveland needs to stay there. They got a couple of game lead on the Knicks. Washington, right now, they're in that 10 spot. These games every game is important to these, the Wizards. Who's in those spots? The Wizards. Toronto's in the 9th spot. Hawks are in the 8th spot. Bulls, who are also playing tonight, meaning Friday night, are in the 11th spot. Those teams need wins if they're going to get into the playoffs. Other teams a little more set. This game's right where I think it should be. Kuzma missed the last game in Washington, but they blew out a hapless Piston team, a depleted Detroit team by 20. Jared Allen, he's going to miss his 4th game. He's big for them. That's a big body, in the middle. So Mobley will slide over, play the big. Stevens will probably stay in the starting lineup. I'm thinking this game should be around 6. Game sitting at 5.5. If it was a little higher, I wanted the Wizards. A little double revenge going here. Wizards played them tough early in the year at Cleveland, took them to overtime, but then Cavs destroyed them February 6th in Washington. This was a spot I was looking for Wash, but I need a couple more points in this one.
Yeah, the Cavs after this have a little 2-game set at Brooklyn. Brooklyn, I think it's 2.5 games right now behind Cleveland. Don't know if they're looking onto that too much at all. Cleveland at home, they, just been dominant at home. They are coming off that loss to Philly. And when they were on that back end of the back-to-back from that game with Charlotte, I'll have a slight lean to Cleveland in this game. Don't love no Jared Allen. This Cavs team doesn't seem just quite as dominant defensively without him, which is a big part of their identity is in that defense. And Washington, like you said, it is knee games this time of year. So not jumping out of my seat to lay this favorite price. But for the Wizards, prior to that win against the bottom of the barrel Pistons, they're 1-5 their prior 6. Not really playing good at basketball right now. So lean Cleveland. Just don't want to get involved with this game. Don't want to lay that price without Jared Allen in the lineup. A little bit of college basketball breaking news, John. Princeton just upset Arizona. It's a 15 versus 2 seed.
Wow.
Arizona Pac-12 champs, and Princeton didn't even play a Power 5 team all season long. They didn't, not even in preseason either. So crazy little upset there. But next game, John, we touched on it a little bit. Warriors-Hawks. Let's go on a little bit of a deeper dive here with this love bet. We talked about already getting that line at PK. As of now, it's at 3.5, and probably going to be higher than that by tomorrow, especially if Curry is out.
If they sit some guys, it will be. Look, there's no way Golden State could be a pick in this game, and that's if Curry was playing and Dre was playing. They've lost 9 in a row on the road. Again, the line makers, I don't know what algorithms are saying. Hey, they got to win one. Yeah, they do. It doesn't mean that's going to be tomorrow. We've been doing it, betting Golden State at home, bet against them on the road. This was an easy one, especially, like I said, Dre picks up the 16th foul. He's going to be out. You already mentioned, looks like Wiggins is going to be done. I don't know what the personal issue is, but that's why he's away from the team with a personal issue. You take away Dre and Wiggins, those are the 2 best defensive players, heart and soul of the team. They're starting 3 to starting 4. They got a lot of problems. Steph drops 50. He was unconscious last night, and they still couldn't beat the Clippers. They got to come across the country to the East Coast for a game against Atlanta. Atlanta needs W's also. As they said, they're in the 8th spot. They fought earlier this year to a double overtime game. Golden State got them 143, 141, I believe it was. Good spot for Atlanta. I made this a love bet, guys. With Steph possibly out, now the game is 3.5. I'm even higher on the game. So, this is an absolute love bet. Even at 3, if Steph's out, would be a love bet.
Yeah, this game checks all the boxes as far as the spot goes. You have Atlanta coming in 3 days rest. You have, like you said, Golden State going from a cross-country travel. You have the home road splits, obviously, for Golden State. That's problematic. You have Atlanta in the matchup history. They've done pretty well, especially in Atlanta. They've won the last 3 meetings there by double digits, average of 14 points a game. And then you have just a little bit of a look ahead there for Golden State going to Memphis on Saturday. Obviously, there's a little bit of history there. And you have to add in the Draymond Green. He's going to be missing with the suspension, possibly Curry. And when it gets to that point, with the way Golden State sits people, Steve Kerr taking pages out of Popovich's book, just sits them all, tosses up the game, looks on to the next one. So checks all the boxes on the spot here. Definitely a good play there for Atlanta. Agree completely. And we'll see how high that number goes.
Yeah, I didn't hear any reasons in there to bet Atlanta at a pick.
Yeah.
DraftKings, I'm telling you. Send me a message. We'll work something out.
Yeah, not sure what DraftKings is doing there with that opening line. That's pretty brutal. This next one, Minnesota at Chicago. T-Wolves, weird team right now. Not winning at home, but they're getting it done on the road. They have won their last 4 road games, 5 and won the last 6. And this Bulls team, a little bit of struggles right now, 1-5-1 against the spread their last 7. As far as matchup history, T-Wolves put up 150 on Minnesota on the Bulls earlier this year, winning that game 150-126. Bulls did win both meetings last year. You obviously have a little bit of a revenge factor here from the Bulls from that. No way can you put up 150 on a team and then not remember it. So, and that alone, it makes it tough for me to want to back Minnesota in this spot and have a slight lean to Chicago. But with the success that Minnesota's been having on the road and how much Chicago's just not getting it done, 1-5-1 against the spread their last 7. Don't want to be laying the Bulls as a favorite. slightly into Chicago, but this is a game I'm steering clear of.
Yeah, I talked with Ben about this one just before we came to make the podcast. My number's 3. Bulls 3. That's what the number is, 3. Timberwolves, again, are listing Gobert and Reed both questionable. They've been listing Gobert questionable almost every night. He seems to play most of the nights. If obviously both centers are out, yes, we'd like the Bulls. But right now, if they're in, let's put them on the side of being in, on the optimistic side of questionable. My number's 3. That's the number. I'm staying far clear from this one. Bulls do need it a little bit more. As I said, they're in the 11th spot, half game behind the Wizards. So they need they need as many games as they can get if they're going to make the playoffs. And this is a team that's trying for the playoffs. You know, there's other teams out there not so sure. Does Indiana want the playoffs? Like I said earlier, we'll see more in these next couple of games. But Bulls need this one. 3-point favorite over Minnesota. But Minnesota have been playing much better ball. They've won their last 4 on the road as opposed to at home. 3 points, that's the number. I'll stay clear for this one. We got better spots.
Next one, John, Pelicans at Houston. This New Orleans team, they were holding that 1 seed for a good chunk at the beginning of the season. And then obviously the Ingram injury, then Zion went down, Ingram comes back. I keep waiting on them to turn it around. I feel like they're going to have a little bit of a run here and there. It just keeps not happening. 3-8 now, their last 11. While the Rockets, who are in that bottom 4, they've been playing decent. 4-3 their last 7. 5-1-1 against the spread. Some big wins in there. Coming off the win against the Lakers where they sat Anthony Davis, so not too impressive. But nonetheless, the Rockets win, which have been rare this season. Pelicans need it. They're in that. I mean, they've fallen all the way out. Now they're in the 12th seed. They are only a half game back of the Lakers there of that 10th seed. So we'll see if they can start to make their climb back. See if Zion even returns this season, what happens there. But really, it's a cold team versus a hot team right now. Don't want to be bucking that. So Pelicans have dominated this matchup history. They've won the last 5 meetings, average of 15 points. They split meetings last year at Houston. This is a little bit of a chicken soup get right game here for New Orleans. I just don't think it matters. I don't want to be backing this Pelicans team right now.
Kevin Porter Jr. has come back for Houston, getting a little better with each game. And the last game was a real nice game against the Lakers. He led them to a victory. Horrible spot for the Lakers. They were back-to-back. Sitting Davis and going home to play the Mavericks, who they're actually tied with. So it was a terrible spot. And to sit Davis. Houston just playing good basketball. We talked about betting against the terrible foursome of Houston, San Antonio, Detroit, and Charlotte. And the 2 Western teams, Houston and San Antonio, are actually playing decent ball. San Antonio was a brutal game last night. Had the game the whole way. Goes into overtime just so they can lose and blow the cover. But they've been also playing good. That's why we're on them tomorrow. But Houston, don't want to back them here. A couple of wins under their belt. Do they want W's anymore? Do they want a chance at that number 1 pick? New Orleans needs this game. Man, they looked bad against the Lakers their last game. They were home, and they got blown out. I mean, pretty much that score was a lot closer than the game actually was. Don't like the Pelicans here. Just tough to bet against them, almost a do-or-die game. This is the first of a 2-game series. They've got to go into Houston. They've got to come away with both of these games if they want to make the playoffs. If they even come out with a split, it's going to tell me this team just doesn't have what it takes to get there this year. This is a big series for them. Again, Houston playing better basketball now that they got Porter Jr. back. Can they get a 3rd victory? I wasn't there for the wedding last night with the Lakers. Certainly not going to be there with the funeral. But the numbers suggest it's Rockets or nobody.
Yeah, they're missing. Obviously, Zion's been out, but also Alvarado just does a lot of the little things. You missed that as well. Gives a lot of energy there off the bench. This Pelicans team, I mean, last year they obviously did damage coming in the back end of the playoffs. They'd give a good fight against Phoenix. There's still potential that, still a way for them to sneak in. They get Zion back, can be back to that team they looked earlier this season. But for whatever reason, they do not look like that same team they did at the back end of last year, even without Zion on the floor. So they got some issues there to figure out. We'll see when that flips script. Next one, this Memphis team on the road. And we all know what that means. Grizzlies just not getting it done on the road. Down there towards the bottom 3 against the spread this season on the road. And without John Morant, they're 1-7 straight up. And this is a big number going on the road at San Antonio, who's been playing decent, 2-2 on the homestand. They do give up a shitload of points. And the matchup history is similar to what we have with the 76ers and the Hornets. So Grizzlies do own the matchup. They have won the last 10 meetings, but just 5-5 against the spread. Spurs covering each of the last 4. The last 2 in San Antonio, they lost both by combined 3 points. So yeah, the matchup history with the Spurs Grizzlies favors a little bit San Antonio recent history. The last 10, though Memphis has won each game, and Memphis is not winning on the road. So big road favorite here. Has to be a little bit of a lean there to San Antonio. John, I'll let you take it from there.
Yes, hey, the history is Spurs just play them tough. Covered each of the 3 games earlier this year. And as you said, look, we bet against Memphis again last night. We had the Heat. They just can't win on the road. These West Conference teams just not getting it done on the road. I believe you said it. They're 1-7 in games without Morant. But even worse, they're 2-12, 4-10 against the spread. Their last 14 road games. It's too big of a sample. So they're going with the San Antonio off a beatdown at Miami. And yeah, they're going to come with a game. But San Antonio playing decent basketball, 2-2 on this homestand, 4-4 since that horrible 16-game losing streak. And now they're fully healthy. It's what Popovich has been doing has been sitting half the starters one game, half the starters the next game. I expect all the starters to play. He went for a game. He looks like he's going for the games against the good teams, as he did when the Nuggets came into San Antonio about a week ago, which started their downfall, and he beat the Nuggets outright. I think this is a similar game. He'll bring his players, and they'll stay under the 8.5. Just too big of a number for a team that can't win on the road. Morant is going to be out till the 30th, I believe. Let me get that number right. So Morant, till the 20th, to the game with Dallas on the 20th, and that's when he'll first be eligible to come back if he's in shape and all of that stuff. So I think these next few games they're treading water. I'm taking 8.5 with the Spurs. Like I said, I think Pop comes for this game against these upper echelon teams. They've covered against them. They've been playing decent basketball. Should have had a win last night against Dallas, or at the very least a cover. We'll see how that goes. But I took plus 8.5. I expect that number to be no more than 7 by game time.
Yeah, also, like we talked about, a little bit of a look ahead for Golden State. Similar situation here for Memphis, hosting Golden State at home. We all know the history there. And it's really a double game look ahead, because the following the game they get at home is with the Mavericks. Also, they have the drama with those 2 teams specifically. So Memphis might be looking on a little bit past San Antonio here. Could be another one of those tight wins on the road, 1 possession wins. Celtics at Portland, John. The Celtics team playing a bit better, 3-1, 2-2 against the spread their last 4. They've kind of been up and down now these last couple of weeks. They get a tight win at Minnesota. Tatum's been having his struggles lately. And then you have this Portland team, which now lost 4 in a row. They dropped that game at home against the Knicks. And Celtics have just had good success in this matchup. They have won. They beat them earlier in March and beat them by 20-plus in Boston. And they've won the last 3 trips to Portland by an average of 13.7 points. So weird read on the Celtics team for me. The way they've been going up and down the last couple of games here. Portland, I imagine they come for a game. Slight lean to the Blazers here at home. I really don't love it, just getting points at home. Boston, 2-2 against the spread. They get that win at Minnesota, but that was with laying 5. Don't know how much they're going to cover there. So lean here to Portland for me, John. Just tough read on this game altogether.
I think they're done. I think Portland's done. Got off to a huge start against the Knicks the other night, and got blown out in the second half. Grant, he missed the last game. He's going to be questionable again. Don't want no part of Portland. Boston, 3-1 in their last 4 games, but just 2-2 against the spread. Didn't cover last night against Minnesota. Laid an egg at Houston, a game that they just can't lose. Again, they only have a 1-game lead. They're down to a 1-game lead on Philadelphia for the division, and it's all due to Tatum. His last 2 games, as you said, not shooting good is an understatement. 12 for 38 from the field, just 2 of 18 from downtown. Celtics will go as Tatum goes. And he's not going right now. Expect this to be a get-right game for Boston. I think Portland's a dead team.
Yeah, Portland, you talk about the mid-side team. Their schedule the rest of the way is not easy. This Boston game, they get the Clippers twice, they get the Kings twice. They still have another game with Golden State and Memphis. I mean, a lot of these top Western Conference teams to wrap up the season after this game here with Boston. So not an easy closeout there. And I believe it is 2 games or 3 games back now of that 10th seed if they were to try to make some last little run to the play-in.
We've talked about it literally from the beginning of the season. Portland wasn't a deep team to start with. They traded Hardaway. They're even less deep. End of the season's coming, and it's taking its toll. And like I said, I think Portland is going to slide even further down. Dame has got to give you 30 if you're even in the game. That's not a winning formula.
Yeah, just as far as like a read on that team in general. I mean, obviously Dame, he prides himself on being one of the few guys loyal to a team, loyal to a fault. Do you think that clock's ticking there as far as when they part ways? I mean, these last couple of seasons, especially trying different things, getting rid of McCollum, and it just I don't know if they're gonna be able to find the pieces to put it together.
I thought this was a blow-up season and tank and see what they can get, but they tried to win a little bit and then trade deadline, get rid of Hart, who's been what a find for Halliburton out for Indiana. So yeah, we're still working, guys. As we're shooting this, we're working. So Halliburton out. You'll already know that by tomorrow. Halliburton out for the Pacers makes Milwaukee look even more inviting. But yeah, Hart's been great since joining the Knicks. Yeah, Portland, like I said, just don't want no part of them. I think they're going to get even worse as it goes on. Just don't want to lay 5 with the Celtics. I don't think they're playing that great. Nope. They were in a tailspin when they beat Portland. They crushed Portland earlier a week or so ago in Boston. Then they won their next game, but they've played 2 terrible games since then. Losing at Houston, barely getting by the Timberwolves. Again, if Tatum gets out of his funk, which is very possible, it's Boston or nobody for me in this game. Want no part of Portland.
And last game on the card, a little bit of complications there as far as injuries. Dallas at LA. Kyrie and Luka, they haven't played for 3 games now. We'll see who's in, who's out, if out of the play. You have this Lakers team who's been playing fairly good. They're coming back from this trip to 4-2 their last 6. They dropped that game at Houston. They sit Anthony Davis. They were still competitive. Mavs at 2-4 their last 6. So a little bit difference there. This is a big game for the Lakers. Lakers currently sit 1 game behind
Big game for
Dallas.
both teams.
Correct. Lakers 1 game behind Dallas right now. So this is a game they could catch them. Obviously, they sat AD on the back end of the back-to-back. Maybe a little bit of a look to this game. Mavs do dominate this matchup a little bit. Lakers beat them on the 26th, beat them big rally, big comeback in that one. Came back from 27 down. Prior to that, Mavs had won 6 of the prior 7 meetings, 6-0-1 against the spread. That includes a weird overtime win at LA earlier this season. So slight lean here to the Lakers, just the way they mean. Mavs is not playing good basketball right now. Got to know who's in, Kyrie and Luka, what's going on there. But it looks like they rested Anthony Davis. They had this game on mind. Don't love bucking that matchup history, but since the deadline, this Mavs team has not been that big of a threat.
Luka and Kyrie did practice today. I've said for a while this was the game I expected them to both come back and play. Again, I don't know how bad their injuries are. With them practicing today, I'm going to put them on the right side of questionable. Look, Dallas was playing great basketball before they made this trade. They were in the top 6. They've now dropped down. They're in the 8th spot, just a half a game over ninth place OKC, which Oklahoma City could tie them if they win tonight. Just a game over the Lakers and just a game and a half over the Jazz and Pelicans to be out of the playoffs completely. Huge game for them. If it's possible, I would expect Doncic and Irving to play tonight in this game. Huge game for them. As you said, they had a 27-point lead on the Lakers in Dallas, and the Lakers come back and shock them. Davis will be nice and fresh after sitting for the last couple of days. Gotta tell me what the line is. What we bet here, guys, is the line. Without a line, there's no line anywhere. Now, if these guys are going to play, this is a pick'em game. Maybe Dallas won in this spot. Got to know they're going to play. Got to know that they're healthy. And also, you've got Hardaway. He's questionable. He missed the last game. So a bunch of pieces for Dallas. Don't know. Lakers will come with a game. They've been playing better basketball with Davison. Russell's looked good. Still waiting on LeBron, and that's going to be key to them. Whatever they're going to do in the playoffs. Look, I still suspect they'll make the play. And as I said a while ago, no way they're going to jump up into the top 6. Davis, if he doesn't get hurt again, if he continues his play, they'll win enough games to be into that play-in spot. We'll need to see what the line is on this one. We'll see tomorrow, like I said, with the injuries also. Yeah,
Lakers definitely a threat come playoff time. If they can be healthy with LeBron and AD, obviously the role players, it's the best they've looked in a few years now. We'll see what continues there. And obviously we'll see what happens with the line on this game with Kyrie and Luka, who's in, who's out. And we'll see how this weekend altogether goes. NBA, a lot of big games coming up this weekend. Obviously a lot of attention on March Madness, but nonetheless, still a lot of big NBA matchups. I mean, John, historically speaking, do you find this time of year maybe NBA lines a little bit softer with so much attention on March, or just not too much of an effect on it?
I absolutely do. I say it every year after the All-Star break. I'm going to annihilate the NBA, and it's a couple of things. I just feel I have a nice jump on the line after the NBA All-Star break, after the trade deadline. I'm reassessing better. I'll be on the teams, as we've talked about, those 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th seeds need win games, much like you're talking about the Princetons shocking Virginias. This is what happens with the lowest seeds. The line spits out what the line should be, but not taking into account sometimes the actual spot. And that the spot is everything. Look, you go to my website, guys, and in my ratings, you're going to find the best ratings anywhere. You take the road rating of one team, the home rating of the other team, and there's your base. That's what your number's going to be. Subtract it, and there's your number. To give you guys an example for tonight's game, just quick off the top, we've got Denver rated at 36.0 on the road. Detroit rated at 22.3 at home. So just off the top, for your base number, Denver is 13.7 points better on the road than Detroit is at home. Then you've got the other factors. It's 4 straight losses for Denver. There's home revenge, a 12-point dog. Pistons went in there and beat them. And that's why it made 11.5 a no-brainer. Other numbers that you could just plainly see, take a look at tomorrow's game. I've got Golden State Warriors 34.5 on the road. Got Atlanta 36.5 at home. Without anything said, without Dre being suspended, if Curry plays or not, I've got the Hawks a 2-point favorite. That's what makes it a love bet. Now, we already know Dre is out. We're looking at least 3.5, 4 on the game. If Golden State going coast to coast, Atlanta just at home, been off for 3 days, it's 5. So this game, that's why this game is a love bet. I want you to always know, I'll never give you a love bet unless I'm really off with a number. That's what makes it a love bet. I'm not 1.5, 2 points off. That's a light bet. That's a 3% of your bankroll bet. When there's a game like this Hawks Golden State game, this is a love bet. And this is why we have such a high winning percentage with the love bets. You'll see this game move. Again, could Golden State come up with a miracle game and beat them? Of course they can. No. But we've already not beat the number. We've buried the number. That game went from pick to 3.5. So again, if you've got an account at DraftKings, for you not to be following me, you just leave the money out there.
Yeah, we saw that with Golden State at Cleveland, where they just shot the shit out of the ball, resting everybody, and it didn't matter. They pulled it out. So, sports, anything can happen. I mean,
anything can happen.
That's why it's fun to watch sports, fun to gamble on it, because there is the uncertainty factor. The edge, like you mentioned, with the love bets has been extreme, and the edge specifically with these DraftKings opening lines, just uncanny how big of a move we're getting ahead on these numbers. That's kind of the it for the Friday card, John. I don't know if you looked on into the rest of the weekend games. There's any games you kind of want to touch on as far as Saturday, Sunday, maybe briefly. I know we mentioned on Saturday we're going to have Golden State, Memphis coming up, and also going to have the Sunday slate as far as some of those games. Obviously, a bit to the lesser. Usually, we have these big double-digit cards, nothing too aggressive. Raptors, Toronto, a little bit of history there, and Nuggets, Denver, a little bit of Nuggets, Brooklyn. Not two big game net matchups. We had those the last couple of weekends, but like we've been talking about all this time, this is all about these 7, 8, 9, 10 seeds moving up, moving forward. Any spots you might be looking on to this weekend? Any matchups? Any key things you're looking at there?
Got to see how Denver does tonight. Obviously, we expect them to win big. Saturday, did they go into New York for an afternoon game with the Knicks, and then they follow that with a back-to-back at Brooklyn. So maybe Murray gets rested one of those days in the back-to-back. We'll see. All depending on how they do and what their lead is over the second place Sacramento Kings and Memphis Grizzlies. So all these games have to do with each other.
Absolutely.
Other games for Saturday, don't see anything that jumps out at me. Golden State, again, depending on Friday night, do they sit Steph? Do they sit some other guys, being that's the front end of the back-to-back going into Memphis? Memphis, they'll be also back-to-back. They're playing in San Antonio, which is another reason we like, because even if they're up big, then you're going to want to get some guys on the bench to get ready for the Golden State game. So we'll see how those games go. One day at a time. We're getting ready. We're already ready for tomorrow. We'll start getting ready tomorrow for Saturday.
Yep, always working a day ahead of time. If you guys haven't already, go check out on the Instagram, the betting Bet with an Edge channel. You can go on our Instagram page. You'll see that. Join our channel there. We will be posting some free bets there. Maybe one of these times this weekend, betting these games day ahead of time. We'll send a bet there so you guys can just see an example of how far ahead we are getting ahead of the number, when we are getting it, when it's available. Just so you can see that for yourselves. I mean, obviously, we've been showing proof of everything, but go ahead and experience it. I know a lot of you guys send DMs or ask for free bets all the time. So if we're ever going to be giving those out, obviously tune into these podcasts or go join that channel, and you'll be getting them there as well.
Well, I won't give the free bets out when we give to our members. We'll put that up. I'll put the Nuggets up today. That game's already moved 3.5 points. Guys, days of freebies are over. I don't know that I got to prove myself anymore. We're out here telling you every day. We're showing you when we're betting the line. I'm telling you, we're annihilating DraftKings line. You don't want to pay $39 to beat the number. That's okay, but I'm not going to be promising free stuff. We'll give you the games before they start, but not when I'm giving them to my members that are actually paying for them. But yeah, hey, you want to bet Denver now at 15, or pay me $39? And look, that game was 11.5 for another hour last night. I don't give you games that are moving in while they're moving. We gave you 11.5. That game stayed 11.5. When we bet the Hawks at Pick'em, Ben, how long did that game stay Pick'em at DraftKings for? I was
2
out.
hours, 3 hours almost. I mean, it was a while. There was that Pick'em until BetOnline came out with that line at minus one, and then it quickly went up to -2 on BetOnline, and then DraftKings went up to -1. Even then, it was still at -1 for another hour, and then finally the news broke that Curry was questionable, and then that's when it made the big move up to 3.5.
So you guys may have a shot at that game tomorrow if they announce Curry's going to play, and that game will go back down. Again, like I said, I'm all of 2 points with Curry in, with Dre in. He's not in. He's out. He's suspended. So that's a love bet. If this game goes back down, you might have a second bite at the apple. We'll see. But yeah, guys, we did freebies when I first came on Instagram. You know how to let everybody give you an idea of what I do, of my knowledge. But yeah, nobody does what we do. Gives you records of the home teams with certain referees, or what certain referees ref in a game that he might have a little ongoing thing with a player. This is the detail that we go into. I don't throw a dart at a game and come up with a game and expect somebody to pay me for it. I don't give you every big favorite and tell you to bet on. What how fucking the Pick Vault did in that Princeton game? Was that one of their Supermax parlays? Anyway, we give you the games that the sharps are on before the sharps. And look, I gave you the Nuggets minus 11.5 last night. Anything could happen. They might only win by 10. But what I'm telling you is this. We laid 11.5. Other sharp guys have laid 12 and 12.5 and 13 and 13.5 and 14 and 14.5 because that game is 15. The public does not move the NBA. Same thing with the other game we bet. We bet the Suns minus 7 this morning. That game was 7 for a while. Game is now sitting at 8. That means other sharp guys not only laid 7, but they laid 7.5 to push it to 8. Guys, all I can tell you, we're going to beat the number. You beat the number, you beat the game. When we get to baseball, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take value with the right teams and the right pitches. We're not going to bet the Dodgers. I wouldn't expect anybody to pay me to give the Dodgers out every single day, or the Yankees. We're gonna get value. We're going to lose more than 50% of our games. At the end of the year, you're going to wind up on the right side of the ledger.
Yeah, Dodgers. I'm not sure if Dodgers are going to be as big of a public ride this year. We'll see. A little bit of a drop off. We'll touch in on that later next week, guys, when we start to do a little bit more of an MLB rundown for the preseason. But that's it for the Friday card. A little bit on touch on this weekend. If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys go download the How to Beat the Bookie app. As John just said, various reasons why to become a member. You're not going to find an edge anywhere else like this. You're not going to get information like this anywhere else. Appreciate you guys.
I don't want to interrupt, but just for our injuries, we've really fine-tuned our injuries.
Yep.
At first, we were just getting every tweet and throwing out every injury. It was annoying. But if you have your notifications off, put them back on. Those injury updates are important. As soon as Halliburton's out, boom, we're getting that information. So the injury info alone, if you're a real player, you should be paying for the $39 just to get that injury info. If you're thinking of betting the Bucks Pacer game today, you can't bet that game until you have the info on Halliburton. It was Halliburton, Turner, McConnell, and Hield, all questionable. So Halliburton's in. We get that broken. So if you saw me, I'm actually punching into our website the injuries for tonight as we're shooting the podcast. But just for the injuries alone, like I said, if you're any kind of player, you want that. It's worth it just for the injuries alone. So like I said, we really perfected it to get down to the plays that really mean something, and you're not getting Bates Diop won't play tomorrow for San Antonio. You're getting the injuries that really mean something that are going to change the line.
And that's what it's about, guys, the injury and what affects the line. We try to give you that information all throughout. So appreciate you guys who tune into the podcast. Anyone who's been watching here, I don't know, we're around like second month, 2.5 months now of doing this. So appreciate you guys. Share with your friends. Help us get these view ups. And if you guys have any, topics, comments, anything you guys want us to cover, maybe prior to the MLB season, anything specific to betting strategies, whatever it might be, make sure you guys comment those below. We'll get to it. And John, I don't know if you have anything else you want to say before this weekend here.
Nope, I'm going back to work. We got a lot of work to do. We're starting to do our reading on the baseball season. Let's make some money.
Make some money.